Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If this is your very first time here, welcome. My name is FiddlinJonny and this is my Fiddle channel and Magic product review. And before I do any Magic product review, I always do a quick fiddle tune. Now I like the fiddle tune to have some sort of relationship, when possible, to the actual release. And today we're going to make that happen because I'm reviewing Canon by David Regal, released through Vanishing Inc. And I thought what better song to go with Canon than Pachebel's Canon in D. Alright, here we go. Sit back, enjoy the fiddle tune, and we'll get right into the review. Alright, Pachebel's Canon in D. Such a beautiful tune. Which brings me now to David Regal's Canon. So, let me just say, when I opened up this package, I didn't go beautiful. I went, oh, I'm disappointed, especially because I love David Regal. But then I went out, I performed a little bit, went and performed for some magicians, got some feedback, played around with different ideas, went back and looked at the tutorial again, performed a little bit more, and then came to a new and different conclusion. So, I put a lot of time in this one, and I hope that the review reflects it. So stick around, and we'll get right into it. Alright, let's get into Canon by David Regal. And I know I have a lot to say about this, but I'll try to get it through it as quickly as I can for you. I really disliked this when I first got it. I was really disappointed. Mostly because I didn't like the gimmicked envelope. And I think after going out and performing with it multiple times, performing with it online as well, that I came to a very different conclusion. So, if you got this in the first, you go, oh, this sucks. Bear with me and I'll go through all those issues. Not to say that it's perfect, but it's pretty darn good. All right, what is Canon? I love this effect. In some ways it reminds me of an invisible deck. Some people have mentioned like the many tackle deck. And there's some similarities, but the plot here is that your spectator can freely choose any card in the deck. They can name it. You can go through whatever process, but in essence, a card is freely chosen. There's no equivoque or anything. There's no forcing. A card is freely chosen, and that card is set on the table in front of them, and you bring out an envelope. And in your envelope, there's but one card in here, and that one card is their chosen card. That is the main routine that's taught on here, but the truth is, it's a system that allows you to get access immediately to whatever card your spectator has chosen. It's not an index, that sounds like an index. There's no rough and smooth involved. There's no magnets involved. There's no short and long cards involved here. But it is a system that gives you access immediately to spectator's chosen card. And you can do a reveal of that card however you want. You can have that card go to wallet, card to pocket, card to envelope, card to tuck case. So there's a lot of versatility in terms of how you want to do that reveal. So, all right, that's what Canon is in essence in terms of from an effect point of view. I'll also add that the ad copy for this said, Canon is a system that can grow for you. And I'm like, that's a sort of, ad copy that, it's like, what's that mean exactly? I've come to the conclusion that that is actually accurate. And what I mean by this, if you're brand new in Magic and you're a beginner, and you look at this and go, oh, that's way outside my skill level, it's not true. This could be great for you because the main routine that's taught that I just mentioned is actually a sleight free routine. If you can turn over a deck of cards, hold the deck card in your hand, you can do it. So in addition to that though, I think more experienced magicians will immediately go, there's so many other things that I can do with this that would involve sleights, like copying a card, palming a card, and placing that card wherever you'd like to put that card. So those are taught on here as well, but it does grow with you, and I think more experienced magicians will come up with additional ideas and routines with this. So let's talk a little bit about what are you going to get. Well, in this box, you're going to get a deck of cards. The deck of cards is not a gimmicked deck of cards. They are a specially printed deck of cards, all right? You're also going to get an envelope, and this envelope is a gimmicked envelope, all right? That's the only gimmick. Gimmick is the envelope, but you don't even need to use this envelope. You're going to get 2 stickers. You're going to get one sticker that says confidential, and the other one that's like an address, like a to and from address. You're going to get a couple extra cards in addition in terms of a blank red and blue bike card and joker. You're also going to get a downloadable streaming instructions from the Vanishing Inc website. And it's 29 minutes and some odd seconds in length. So it's just basically shy of a 30-minute tutorial. That's what you're getting. That's what this you're going to get sort of in this box. But we should focus a little bit. I think the 2 things to focus on here are the instructions and then the cards and the gimmick. Okay. So when I think about the tutorial and instructions here, they were done really nice. It looks like it's done in a living room of some sorts. It's lit beautifully. It looks really pleasing to the eye, not cluttered, very nice. And is a 2-camera shoot, so you get the spectator view and then you get a tight shot of the hands as well for performance sake. So that's in terms of that. But more importantly, how are the instructions? I think David Regal, if you purchased any David Regal release before, you know that he's a good instructor. This one is no different. He does a great job, goes through everything that you'll need, and in 30 minutes you get what you need. I think for the person who's brand new and wants to do the sleights, you will learn how to cop a card. And he spends definitely time on copying a card. You'll also get a little bit about palming a card, but that will be the main sleight that is taught in this. In the tutorial, the nice thing is it does start with a live performance. So David Regal has 2 spectators and does a live performance and shows you the easy version of it and how to do it, which I really appreciate for those who are beginner magicians. He follows up with like, what do you get? You do have to put your envelope together. There's nothing, although this is gimmicked, it is an off-the-shelf or over-the-counter envelope that you would buy, at any sort of stationery store or on Amazon, and then he has gimmicked it. You can gimmick it yourself as well. So if this wears out, you want to gimmick it slightly different, you could do so. And then he's going to go over the routine, how to do it, talk about the gambler's cop. And in essence, you're sort of learning 2 routines on here. The one with the envelope, but then you're also going to learn a card to tuck case as well. And in my opinion, that was my preferred presentation and routine on this. And I actually think it's easier than what he might sort of, you might think if you're brand new at Magic. He'll also go to like a card to pocket sort of thing as well. He also, so he does like a card to wallet and talks about that. You'll see sort of what he has done to gimmick his own wallet, which I thought was kind of brilliant, which makes it that much easier if you want to do a card to wallet. And sometimes people are afraid of copying a card or palming a card and putting it in wallet. He has a version that does not require any of that. So I thought that's really nice. I think overall the takeaway from the tutorial, it's a good tutorial. The downside is that I wish I'd spent a little bit more time talking about the gimmicked envelope and maybe addressing sort of what probably most of us magicians think when we first get it. Because when you first get it, you go, oh my goodness, how am I going to get away with that? And you'll be surprised you'll be able to get away with it. But I wish that was sort of maybe addressed a little bit in there, or the subtlety about how you flash this or not, which he talks about a little bit. I could have done with maybe just a little bit more. So this does bring me to how is the gimmick, and I do think this is an important part in this release. So let's start with the cards. I mentioned earlier, these are not gimmicked. They are simply specially printed. What's particularly nice about this is that I wish I had thought of it. Maybe that's the thing I don't like. I wish I had thought of it because it's so brilliant. Just really, really smart. And they're bicycle cards printed on United States Postal, I want to say Postal, United States Playing Card Company cards. So they're nice, they're not gimmicked, they're great. What is gimmicked is the envelope. I didn't really like the envelope. But it almost doesn't matter because you don't really need to use this envelope, quite frankly. You can come up with other ways of creating a routine that don't involve this envelope. With that said, I've had a lot of what I would say is magician thinking on this envelope, and that people will clearly see how this is gimmicked. And out of my performances I've been using with it, they don't notice it. And I know some people will say, well, they're being polite. I did a number of performances where I said, look, this is something new that I'm working on. I'd love your feedback. You can even tell me how you think I'm done, how I'm doing it. I'm not offended by it. I did have some folks, when giving feedback, going, like, obviously you have to somehow get that card in that envelope. So the way you must do this is like you must have a hole somewhere in that envelope, but they're not sure where that hole would be. So, and then they can't, of course, figure out, like, but even if you had to put a card in there, where did that card come from? So I found in almost all instances, it didn't matter. So I also did multiple online performances, and in my online performances, I have my camera set about this far away, way more closer than any performer would be in real life, and which created, I thought, oh, this is not a good idea, but I want to try it out. And wasn't noticed once. And I asked for feedback. No one even noticed it. So, so I think while I don't love this gimmick, it clearly works. And I have magician thinking going on that gets in the way. And people's brains just work in a certain way in terms of, like, as an example, when you do magic, people's brains just fill in things for you and you don't have to do the work. The sticker here, in essence, does a lot of the work for you. And as an example of that, like if I take my deck of cards here and I display these cards, people go, oh, well, he's working with a blue bicycle deck of cards and a full blue bicycle deck of cards. Well, the second I take off the top card, you'll see that, and I turn around, you can see that actually I just only had one card there, and I'm actually not working with a blue bicycle deck of cards. So you know that people's brains do the work for you, and that was true, I found, for the envelope. Okay, I hope this is helpful, because when you come for reviewers, when you come to this channel, I'm going to probably, I think, spend a little bit more time going out and road testing these releases so that I can get more real world experience, so I can share that with you. And I hope that's coming through, sort of what my experience has been, what my concerns were. You probably have some of the same things if you know what those are, and that they were affected by my magician thinking, and by performing I found that those things were not bore out. Okay. We should talk about the skill level. So I said in the beginning, it'll grow with you. It really is beginner to wherever you are in your magical journey. So if you're brand new, you're going to be fine with this. I think if you're more experienced, you're going to come up with more creative ways to use the system and how you want to do the reveal that may involve more sleight of hand to cop and palm cards, really, and where you want to place them. And in my opinion, what I like best, or I think what I'll perform probably most, is card to tuck case. The only card in the tuck case is their chosen card. All right. I want to go through like pros, cons, questions I might have had in advance before purchasing it, that type of stuff. So I'll tell you, it resets in seconds. You can reset in 5 seconds. You can reset in front of your spectator. Every time I performed it, I just reset in front of my spectator and they have no idea what's going on. You do have to remember, like, I would say, if you get this, watch the tutorial first before you open up your deck of cards and start shuffling them, okay? Just watch the tutorial first. I love also that you can use any cards you want with this, all right? So if you use a very specific, if you like red bikes, blue bikes, Nox, the Star Wars series from Theory 11, doesn't matter. You can use any tuck case or any cards that you work with normally, and this will work. I hope that makes sense. So it's customizable in that respect. I'll also add that you can do this sort of sitting or standing. I prefer to perform it standing for my routine, but you could do it. I also want to let people know, like, if you're trying to figure out method, there's no rough and smooth here. There's no long cards and short cards. It's simply just a specially printed deck on there. I would say if I start to talk about cons, I probably will eventually just be chucking this envelope and creating my own envelope that I really like, or just do one of the other different types of reveals with it. Another con, this is a con, sort of. I know that people will complain and they'll say probably 2 things. This is a one-trick pony and your cards and your envelope cannot be examined. In many ways, all of that is true, in that your cards cannot be examined and your envelope cannot be examined. With that said, I did not once have anybody ask to see the cards or the envelope. And I think in part that is because of the structure of the routine and the system that's used here. It's because they can freely choose any card. They don't feel like the cards are gimmicked or that they're magic cards. They really freely choose any card. And as I mentioned earlier on the envelope, there's no way that, like, how did you so quickly get one single card that they chose freely into the that envelope? So no one seems at all interested in looking at the envelope or the cards. I've not had anyone grab them or want to touch them. So that sort of, I think, nullifies it based upon the way that the routine is structured. Is it a one-trick pony deck? Yeah, probably. Maybe you might come up with an additional routine for it. But basically, you're carrying one deck. You can do everything that is stated with the single deck in this routine. You don't need a second deck. And so you can ring in, I think, this deck whenever you want, or ring it out. For me personally, like, I would probably use a normal deck of cards for starters, do some routining with those. Those would probably just go back in my pocket and say, oh, let's do something else, and then pull out this deck. So, or if you do other fancy deck switches, you could do deck switches. So I personally don't have an issue with those complaints because there's ways to work around those sorts of things, and good audience management. Someone had mentioned in one of the forums I went to, I think the Magic Cafe forums, and looked there, and someone had asked a question about, can you do a Mercury fold with these cards or have somebody sign the cards? And the answer is no, because that would destroy your cards that you're getting, the Canon deck, and you wouldn't want to do that. So if that was something you're interested in or had a routine for those, I would never use those cards for that type of an effect. When I think about who is going to like this, I think if you're a card magician, you're going to like this. If you do parlor work, I think this is really nice in a parlor setting if you want to specifically use the envelope for this. So I think that's a nice setting. But I think folks who like to do card magic are going to like this routine and this deck. All right, let's talk about the cost. In the United States, this is $39.95. So basically it's a $40 deck of cards, really, that are really awesome. And you have, I know people say, you know, endless possibilities. It is kind of true here. It's endless in that you have a system where a freely chosen card, and you have immediate access to that freely chosen card. And then you can display how you want to do that reveal, or how you want to show it as a prediction, or amazing sleight of hand, whatever. It is kind of limitless in that respect. All right, I hope that's helpful for you. I've put in the time, I have road tested it. I've tried to share that with you, and I hope that helps you if you are considering this release. At the end of the day, I think this is a really good release, and that comes from a place where I started off thinking, this is getting a negative review. And I thought for days, like, yeah, I'm starting to type up my script for this, listing all the things that I dislike about it. I went out and performed and went, oh, okay, it's not quite as bad. And then performed it for some magicians and jammed on some ideas and came up with other solutions. And then went and performed it some more, did some online performances for folks, and really walked away going like, oh, I really like this deck and it's really ingenious. So I hope that's all helpful. Thank you so much for being here. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet done so, and leave a comment down below. If you purchase this, add some of your thoughts to it. I'd love to hear what your perspective is. I hope this is helpful. My name's FiddlinJonny, and remember to keep fiddling around with your magic. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.